Hey Mike, my name is Claudio. We've been messaging back and forth a few times. I am Tomioka Giyu, and I figured I would record a video because it's easier to explain, maybe, because then it would be a really long message. But um, I had a couple, t mainly two um, questions for you slash suggestions, maybe. And see what you think. And the first one has to do with so let me click here really quick. So this is so these are all the trades. So I just for the first time this is the first time I'm able actually to do this. So I created a new profile. I started trading it today, and I was tagging all the trades, right, or committing them. That's the way you guys call it here, committed trades. Yeah. So um, and there's a couple of things that I would like to be able to do that can't be done here. And let's start with the first one. So the first one is, I think I mentioned it in one of our emails I sent earlier, and it's the ability to merge trades. So I used to trade equities, and the prop firm where I was trading with, we were using something called TradingView. um, I don't think in the future space it's very popular, so I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's a it's similar kind of thing to this. I think this is much better. I'm really excited about a bunch of um, uh, things, but that software had one thing that was really useful, and it was the ability to merge trades. So, for example, if you go over this, like today, let me pull this up really quick. Today I was trading gold, for example. That's one of the trades I was taking, and uh, and if you go to the list, there's a ton of trades here. There's between this and um, these are all GC. I think there are trades missing here. I made like over 60 trades today, and um, I don't know, like a third of them were all on GC. So let's say like 20 or 25 trades. Um, but I was really trading one setup, and this is the setup. Just let me just go over it really quick, which is, we had the gap here. We have, I'm not going to go into, if you go on a higher time frame, this is an area where, value area where it was perhaps expected to exhaust and be rejected here. A move like this after a gap like this, showing signs of weakness and showing this kind of like blow off candle here. It looks like it looks like it's done here. And then what happens is that then it comes back, takes out the highs, and creates some structure here. And the thesis is that there's the possibility of a lot of volume trapped here, and that volume then can be the fuel for a move up higher. And we had another value area here. Basically the most important one here, which is at the 4,400s. It didn't quite get there, but it made an attempt to get there. So this is a squeeze here. So the the I call this a trap after exhaustion squeeze on a higher time frame, and I always make that distinction. And that was a setup. So I made like 20 or 25 trades on this, but they were all about sort of like managing a position within this bigger setup. Um, and some of these trades are, I lost $3, I lost $50, I lost 20, I lost 50, I made 87, lost 150, until the finally the move happened, and then I made 230. I made just under 200 and 150. So some of these trades were here, um, trying to position myself for the breakout. And then we do get the breakout, but it's basically a failed breakout. And then I leave it alone. But then I come back when the 8 8:20 a.m. cash open for gold comes in, and then the flows reverse, and then it comes back and tests this important level here again. Once it reclaims that level, then this setup is already in play again, and this one when I start putting on risk there. So there are trades here. There's a trade here that, even though there was not really part of this setup, that I take into this level, and then the trades that I take after reclaim of this level kind of like belong to this higher time frame setup that comes back in play when this VPOC is reclaimed. So the point is here is that all these trades that I'm taking, I don't know how to tag them. So they they tell the whole story as it is. This was all one trade. And so I came up with a scalp inside structure, because there's structure here, scalping ink here, before the real move, for example. And I have that when I in my trading journal in Notion, I have that tag, for example, to make a distinction when the trades are. That's what I'm doing, but I have a way of including them in a larger setup, but I have no way to do that here. So when either I tag them like this, or I tag them as the setup itself, which is trap after exhaustion squeeze. But then all these little trades, little or not little, whatever, these scalps, the data is not going to be accurate. There's gonna be a bunch of winners and a bunch of losses, but in the end, the net P&L on that higher time frame, on that bigger setup, so it was actually a winning trade. But then on my stats under that strategy, there's gonna be all this noise of all these winners and losers that they don't really reflect reality. So that was one question, I guess. Do you think it's possible, maybe, or have you considered, have other traders maybe brought this up, the ability of merging trades? So we can, so they can all be included under a bigger trade. And the other question I had is, what ends up happening again also is that, yes, this is a higher time frame setup, so it's like one strategy, but then within this strategy, there's all these trades that they're not just scalps, random scalps. They're actually strategies within a strategy. So this one, the distinction is pretty easy. Like if you're trading this consolidation here, you're trying to position yourself for the breakout. I call these scalps inside structure, which is kind of like, it's that trying to build a core within before the move, and then scalping in and out. I guess these pops into that trend line are opportunities to get some P&L and recycle when it comes back down. So trying to make this a risk-free trade. And that one's not too, it's not difficult to tag that. But then when it breaks out, for example, and then it fails, for example, perhaps I would have traded this, and I think I did. I'm not sure. I can't remember. And this, for example, okay, this is a different. This doesn't go inside that setup. This is a different setup. This is basically, it failed here, and then we get a retracement back into that VPOC that was taken out, and then it gets rejected there. And basically that's a trend continuation to the downside for me, and this is a separate trade. Maybe this one doesn't really count because it's not part of the same strategy, but then we get this one when the 820 flows come in, and then this is a flow reversal of flows, basically. And I did trade this. I caught this at the bottom, and then I joined that that trend up into that key level, that VPOC here for that long. Again, that one maybe this strategy is not in play because it's failed, but then once this VPOC is reclaimed, all these trades here become the setup, the strategy of it's in play again, basically. So this was sort of like a failed, it was failing, but then now the strategy is playing again, especially, and it's not just in play again, but it's a stronger strategy, because when we get this fail and then they save it up here and then it comes back and it reclaims that VPOC, and I have a name for that, so it's a reclaim of VPOC after fail of structure, and this gives this strategy, it gives it even more. Now the strategy becomes stronger because there was an opportunity here to trap more volume. So now there's more fuel for the original strategy. So within that larger strategy, then I have on lower time frames, I have a trap after exhaustion squeeze here. When we created this structure and we have this local VPOC here around 4367, and then when we reclaim that and break out, bam, and I'm not sure that should be here, and we get this squeeze. So, and I would tag this as that trap after exhaustion squeeze, and then we get another one here, and it's the same thing. It's on a lower time frame, but it's the same sort of like setup, and we have, I'm not sure why, maybe if I factor that out, but we should get a pretty clear level. There it is. So there's, it traps around this level. We have exhaustion here. We have top wicks. It looks like it's already exhausting in that area, but then it, it wicks down. Can't remember where. Traps, reclaims that VPOC here, and then we're ready for another breakout. And that is another trade that I would tag as a trap after exhaustion. So all these are trades. They're not just little random scalps. They're actually strategies within a larger strategy. So then how do I tag that? And this is, it's not even it's more of like I'm trying to learn how to tag my trades in a way that that's productive, and I'm having trouble with that because I don't know, do I tag these as individual trades? But they're not individual trades, because the reason why I'm putting on these trades is because they're part of a larger strategy. So I don't have, and this is, I guess, where it comes to what the software could do, and it's like I don't have the flexibility of tagging a trade as many different things. So I have to tag them as either one strategy or a different strategy. And I have a trade journal on my Discord, which is, I don't know, somewhere. Okay, I guess I have to pull it up here. And if we pick up any random trade that I pick here, and it could be whatever, I'll just pick this one on CL, and it'll have at least, in this case, type of setup: trend continuation, breaking news, smash and grab. So it's the same trade, but I can tag it as different. It's one strategy, and at the same time they overlap. It's also another strategy, and I can probably add another couple of tags here. I kind of chose to separate them then entry types, and then entry off of VPOC, or was it a fade absorption, or was it was it an entry off of an EMA, or was it a sweep entry, whatever. I can add all these tags, but I don't have to define that trade as it was this setup and that's it. I can search that trade under any number of tags that I've tagged it under. And it doesn't, I don't think that I can do that here. So for example, these trades, these little scalps within that larger strategy, I tag them in scalps, and then they're going to be lost forever. They're never going to be included in that larger strategy. There's also not much information about, so it's a scalp inside a structure, but then there's other tags that I could be adding there that um, give a little bit more color to what that strategy was. But the most important part, that I could actually merge it with all the other ones, so it's in the data that all these scalps were part of a larger strategy. I wish I could do that. I'm not sure if it can be done. I'm not sure if I'm missing something, and maybe I can. There's a workaround or something that that does add a little bit of that flexibility I'm talking about. I'm not sure, but that's kind of where I'm struggling with. And I've done this 3 or 4 times already. I keep deleting. Today I discovered how to add and remove strategies without deleting the profile. Before I didn't know, so I kept deleting profiles just to create a new set of strategies, and I still haven't found something that works for me because I don't know how to approach it. But the lack of flexibility here is not helping either. So um, I don't know if I articulated this well. Um, I tried. I'll try to send a message also with some details. And I don't know, maybe you have questions for me, and maybe I can explain a little bit better what I was trying to say. But anyways, um, this video is already too long. Um, um, Regardless, it's an amazing product. I'm really excited about it, and that's why I have these suggestions, because these things would make it perfect. I love everything else about it, especially and the journaling part, the templates inside the journal, um, and the data analytics. All this stuff is just awesome. So, anyways, thanks a lot, Mike.